Welcome everyone. I hope you can hear me and hear us. We're here today to have a nice conversation with the wonderful Tara Savelo. She's the person who's responsible for some of Lady Gaga's most iconic makeup looks. We are hoping to dive into some ARTPOP memories with her and learn from her mastermind behind all those wonderful looks she's done to her. I'm here today with Claudia. She's my co-host for today.
Hello. Thank you so much for taking the time to speak to us today. Your support of the fans throughout the years have been greatly appreciated, and we hope that you feel our relentless support for you as well. Tara, how are you?
Good. I didn't know that I was in charge of unmuting my own mic. Whoops. Hi, guys.
Hi.
Hi. It's so wonderful to have you. I think I told you already 1,000 times how much we, the fans, love us and appreciate all you do for us. And all the time you have contact with us. Help us go back to some wonderful memories from probably the best of Gaga's eras, Born This Way and ARTPOP. Thank you so much for doing this today with us.
Yeah, I love and appreciate all of you as well. So thank you. So bring the questions. Bring them on. Let's do this.
So Gaga was involved in the process of the makeup looks. Do you have did you have complete creative freedom, or was it always something like a collaborative process?
A little bit of both. It just depended on the day. I mean, Gaga's very involved in everything creative, so she gave us a lot of creative freedom to do what we wanted to do. So some days it was just, do whatever you want. And, she would give us some direction sometimes. A lot of times looks were inspired by Freddie's amazing creations. His wig creations would help to direct where the look would go. Sometimes it would be a beautiful outfit that Brandon had picked out. Sometimes it would be both of those things. Sometimes it would be a mood. Like a lot of the songs, especially on ARTPOP, each song for me, and I think for all of us, even, for all of you, they kind of invoke a character. It's like you can see she's so good at that, Gaga. It's like you hear the song and you immediately see a whole, kind of like Disney does, like you see a whole entire world. Yeah. So each song, it creates a whole world in your mind before you ever see a visual for it. So while she was
so colorful, it's great.
So yes, there was thank you so much. There was different songs that we were all listening to that she was working on, and they would get us very inspired to create these sort of characters that you would see if you look at kind of like the timeline. You'll see that there's a similar look maybe for a week or a couple days that is very extra, and that's just kind of how we work. I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, it did pretty much. I mean, Gaga always changes looks. It's basically every day a different look, a different persona, especially in the ARTPOP era. I feel like every day she outdid herself, and you with the makeup and Freddie with the hair, and
So she gave us complete creative freedom, but she's always the one driving that because she's the one who's creating the whole world that you live in. She's the one creating the Disneyland, and then you get inspired while you're in there to create what you create.
Did you ever? Yeah, it totally does. Did you ever plan for days ahead, or was it something just spontaneous that you decided to do one makeup look, or you had always a plan for yourself?
No, working at that pace, you usually don't have the time unless there's a big shoot coming up. We're doing a show every day, and in the middle of that, you're doing interviews, and sometimes she would be doing, a lot of times I don't think you realize how much she's working. She's doing 10 television interviews and 10 radio interviews and maybe shooting a movie and a TV show and recording an album, and then she has a show. So a lot of times, you know, we would work and create things at the spur of the moment. And so sometimes there would be planning ahead if it was like a big TV show, or, you know, for the movies we did, like the Sin City or that was before ARTPOP, but like the Robert Wilson and the Jeff Koons, we did have planning ahead. But for the day-to-day looks, you know, it was just, we woke up that morning and what do I want to do today? And, you know, a lot of the looks that you see are, you know, we would leave a hotel and then we would get somewhere and then we would do a different look when she left that building. So
that sounds crazy.
Yeah, a lot of those, and that's what makes her so special too, and so amazing. One of the many things that makes her so special and amazing is who else does that? You know, like who else gives you 10 different looks in one day?
No one.
Like one for leaving the hotel, one for entering the restaurant, one for leaving the restaurant. Like she literally would change her wardrobe and her wig and her makeup inside the restaurant before she left, which is so awesome.
And those aren't just basic looks, they're really iconic. They're so recognizable. It's not like she just changes a t-shirt or something. It's virtually a whole persona change.
Right, exactly. Like it's a whole different person who exits. So it's like, that's such an exciting thing to even be able to work on. Someone who wants to be that creative all the time and then pushes you to be more creative.
Which looks of yours would you describe as the most experimental?
From ARTPOP, I would say the ones that like stand out to me are a lot of the looks we did in Berlin. There was like one of them was it was a few, I want to say some were the same day and some were a couple days in a row. And I think we were going to a radio interview, and it was with the bare feet and the white flowy dress.
Yeah, I know which one you mean.
Yes,
wig and the
and she
white
walked
makeup
really slowly.
all over. Yeah, she had the long platinum blonde, like crimped wig Freddie made.
Mm-hmm. And I think that was for the BBC.
The skin was like ethereal, and I put like this white makeup all over her legs and hands, and there was like glitter, and she wore the colored contacts, and it was so beautiful and spooky. Like I remember seeing it in all these magazines, and people were like, oh, what is Lady Gaga doing now? It's so weird. That was one of my favorite looks because it was, you know, and she's the only person who could pull that off because she also like did a whole performance art while wearing it that made her look like this amazing goddess, and it was just so cool. And then we did a similar look for the Glamour Awards.
Yeah.
And seeing her on the red carpet, I mean, she wore shoes for that one, but seeing her on the red carpet next to other people who are like, you know, I think she won the Glamour Award that night, and her in a look similar to that are created for that next to other people was just so amazing. Like seeing people interviewing her in total, like normal people, like what a regular person wears to that, and she just looks so incredible. That's probably some of my favorite looks. Also just, you know, the ARTPOP promo, like recreating the cover look a bunch of different days in different ways so it could transfer to be like walking down the street, and that was really fun as well. And, you know, doing it live on stage was an interesting thing to figure out, and it was really fun.
Did you have to use different products to make it last longer for stage versus just like going out from hotels and things like that?
Yeah, different days I did try different things. So like a couple, if you notice, some of the different looks are more matte because the day would be like she would have a 8-hour day ahead of her. And so I wouldn't want to use the same cream products because by the end of the day it was going to be, even though I'm with her all day to touch them up, it's just not the right look. So some of them I used shadows so that it would just stay matte and it would stay in place. So yeah, I did try all different things for different situations that would photograph differently, because once you're out in the hot sun in LA, it's a different story. But yeah, those were really fun, and trying to figure out how to. Sweet Richie teaching me and Freddie are trying to teach us the choreography for the VMAs when neither of us are dancers, and we have to do the choreography while figuring out how to switch her hair and makeup while she's singing and not mess up the whole show.
Yeah, that was a crazy performance. Yeah, that was really great. Like 4 outfit changes in 3 minutes. That's on the stage and makeup and
yeah, she did one on the stage.
Yeah, the wigs and the makeup changes were mostly on the stage with Freddie with that amazing wig thing. I think Marla made it for him, where he had the hands on his shoulders.
This night?
Yes, I did her makeup. I did the applause colors on her face on stage, and the reason why you didn't notice me is because Richie taught me so well that I blend in with the dancers. So I had like 4 counts. I had like bump, 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 bump to do the makeup while she turned her head to me for a moment, and I literally backstage stuck my fingers, 1 finger in each color, while Jeremy was like going over the steps with me in the dark. I was like, okay, I guess I'm just gonna take these on my hand and then I'll go boop, 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 boop. Okay, got it. Let's go.
I think some people are gonna rewatch that performance tonight.
I definitely am.
I have like a white, Marla gave me like a white paint palette to hold. So I'm the only person within the dancers who's holding like a white painter's palette. Oh. But I'm like hiding amongst them, like, please don't see me, please don't see me. Because if you saw me, then that meant that I had like messed up and that I'd gone out of step with the dancers. You weren't supposed to see me until I was on her face, and then I disappear into the background.
To be honest, I don't think anyone noticed it was you. You were that good to blend in and do the makeup.
That's exactly what I wanted. It's like my worst nightmare. Like, what if I trip on somebody and then the whole thing is ruined and I'm just embarrassed forever?
I mean, I bet you were so nervous because you're not used really to the stage, right?
Not at all. But luckily, there wasn't much time to be nervous because we had so much happening. So it was like on the car on the way to the red carpet. Freddie and I were both in the car we were like sharing a headphone, listening to the track, like looking at each other, going over the steps, like 5, 6, 5, 6. And that was when we're both like, oh my gosh, we're supposed to be on stage? What's happening?
How long did you practice with them?
Honestly, a few minutes. We didn't have enough time because we were, doing shoots and a million other things. So the amount of time that we had to practice with them was like we each had one of their rehearsals. So that's why we were also so nervous.
But you did a great job.
Thank you. I'm glad none of you were like, oh, that was obvious. There's that one person who can't dance.
I mean, it's nearly 10 years later and no one ever noticed.
And I mean, we noticed so many other things.
You do. You guys notice everything.
Yeah. So, Tara, how did working with Gaga affect you creatively? As a makeup artist, were you able to grow? Were you able to go longer distances as a makeup artist?
I mean, I think that no one could ever work with her and do those things and not like become better and more creative, because I mean, look at what we created. It's so outside the realm of what a beauty makeup artist usually gets to create. So it's like, I mean, even the experiences and the opportunities and the, you know, it's like you get to do, I got to do like in the span of a day from, you know, a tour to a movie to a, you know, there's so many different things. So I get to create so many different characters, for lack of a better word, on one beautiful face, which is the coolest thing, because I really got to learn. You get so familiar with this face, which I feel like is the best way to do makeup, is like if you spend so much time with somebody, you get to really like study their face, and that's where a lot of the ideas would come from. So I would be looking at her while she's sitting there with no makeup on, and be like, the way the light is hitting the top of her cheekbones, that's so pretty. What if I figured out a way to make that extra? You know what I mean? Like things like that. If you get to, whereas a lot of times you get put on a job and you see a face for the first time right when you're working on it, and you kind of figure out the face as you're going. But when you're working on the same face every day for 6 years, you really get the opportunity to learn it so well that I feel like that really gives you an advantage. And then getting to work with someone like her who really wants to like go to like extreme places. It's so fun, and you get this opportunity to like transform this person all the time into all these different characters and work with all these different incredibly talented people. And then that brings your own work to a whole different level. Like doing really fun, amazing makeup, but then also having like an incredible wig to finish it off, an incredible wardrobe. That's a whole different level than just the makeup, you know?
Did you believe that you'd be able to create so many creative looks like you've been talking about? Did you ever believe that you'd be able to create the content that you created? Did you push like your boundaries and things like that?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, 100%. Totally, like all the time. I mean, even after 5 years, there would be, you know, like even doing the Robert Wilson thing was like a whole different level. Yeah. It's like just when you think you're working on this face that you're familiar with, and then you do a project where you're like, whoa, wait, what? Like we're looking in the mirror. I'm working in the mirror to create a painting. It was like a whole another level of like, oh, this is intense. Like we just went somewhere else. That seems even more difficult. Like hopefully we can pull this off. I feel like every day it's like I hope I can pull this off. I hope I'm good enough for this. I think most artists feel that way though, you know? Like I feel like if you don't feel that way, then you're not going to always try to do better. Yeah. Like if you're like, I'm perfect and awesome just as I am, then you're not gonna be constantly trying to do better, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
So how was your first time actually meeting Gaga?
How was it?
Yeah, do you remember the day and how the meeting went?
I mean,
it was to meet her.
It was a job, you know. I got hired to do a job. So I got hired to assist Billy B on the Bad Romance music video. And I mean, when you are on a job, you don't like officially meet somebody. They're not like, hello, this is Tara Savelo. Now
with a handshake.
Yeah, that doesn't happen in real life. So there was no official meeting. I was just there and I worked.
But I mean, you grew to be so good friends. Yeah. I hope
that answer wasn't very exciting. I know, but that's the truth.
What are some of your favorite memories with her during Ipop era or in general?
Well, I would say a lot of my favorite memories are things that I would keep private because they're like our memories as friends. So
I
it probably wouldn't be things that I would tell the whole, say out loud to the whole world. But we had a lot of very good ones, and our pop. We all had a lot of fun. A lot of fun was had, and for me, it's like when people say the art pop era. For me, I think of a lot of the Born This Way tour, because that's when art pop kind of began, like the creation of it. So it's like the songs from art pop remind me of the Born This Way ball into the art pop era, if that makes sense. So like,
So
for me, it's kind of like it kind of like blends into one because the songs began on the tour. Same with the Monster Ball in the Born This Way. It's like, for me, the Born This Way era begins on the Monster Ball tour. So my memories from that era are like extended into the Born This Way tour.
Good. So what would be your favorite art pop song?
This is very hard for me because they all have like a lot of sentimentality and a lot of memories attached to them from their conception, But if I listen to it as try to take that away, because otherwise it's like choosing your friend's children. Like, which child do you like the best? I can't do that. If I take that out of it and I had to just pick with a gun to my head, I'd say art pop.
Oh, that's a great choice. Art pop is such a journey as a song. It takes you really to different dimensions while you listen to it.
And it's just such a good song.
Yeah. Just to say it simple.
It's like a song like you could jam to in any decade.
I think when she performed it on, I think it was the Tonight Show on the piano. That was my favorite performance of art pop.
Was that the one with the fiber optic wig?
Yeah.
Yes, I agree.
I love that performance. I watch it all the time.
Yeah, I just rewatched that. That was really good. Yeah, see, it's such a good song.
I think it's also the fact that she always changes the songs when she performs them live. She does a piano version of it, and it sounds so different and sounds so great and totally blends in with the studio version that comes playing afterwards. That's not something many artists do, but she makes a whole new version of the song when she sings it acoustic.
Well, I don't know if I don't mean this to. I'm not like disrespecting anyone, obviously, but I don't know that there are many artists that have the ability to do that.
Yeah, I don't know. We can see it every day. I mean, how many artists actually change the song so much like Gaga does live? I mean, I personally love listening to her live versions of songs more than the studio versions, because she always does something special with them.
No, I agree. And so much of those things that you're talking about that she does, she improvises. Like, that's why every show of every tour was so good every night, because she would just improvise songs during the acoustic. The acoustic sections were always my favorite.
Yeah. I think everyone lost their mind when she performed a short part of Brooklyn Nights to one concert in the ARTPOP Hall.
Oh, I lost my mind.
Yeah, it's really good. I didn't even remember that. I was probably backstage. I didn't always hear what was happening up there. It depended on what was happening that night. And sometimes they'd come backstage and be like, "Did you hear what just happened?" Like, no, what?
Did you tour with her for the whole tour back then? Or were the
Yeah, the whole ARTPOP tour. There was, I missed the last, 2 or 3 shows, I think. I don't know. Someone knows exactly how many shows. I left in Dublin, and then there was a few more shows. I think she went to Paris, and then the rest was canceled.
Yeah, I think the Paris show was the last one.
Yeah, so there's only a couple shows after Dublin, but I stayed in Dublin because I know everyone always asks, and maybe I should just tell. And in Dublin, I ended up in the hospital, and I'd been sick for a while, and I'd been in the hospital before while on tour. And Gaga did everything more than anyone ever would to help, and I wanted to stay, so we both wanted me to stay. So we were traveling with a hyperbaric oxygen chamber that I could go in every day to try to help. I had been diagnosed with lupus, so I was just not doing well. And by Dublin, I had to go to the emergency room, and there was a show that night, and so it had been a while that I was just getting sicker and sicker. And so we both agreed and realized, I need to go home. So the night of the Dublin show, I went to the emergency room.
That's so sad to hear.
So for anyone who's wondering what was going on, that's what was happening.
I think we only know that you were sick and then had to leave, but we don't know all the backstory. But we all hope you're doing better now and are fine now.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I've it's taken a while. I'm still struggling with my health, but it's you got to do a lot to handle your health when you have stuff like that going on.
I'm glad to hear that Gaga was always so supportive of you, and that you had such a good relationship, both of you. I think that's so important when you work for someone for such a long time and basically work 24/7 with them. If you don't have a good relationship, then the work won't be good.
Yeah, 100%. No, I mean, she was, she did everything she possibly could, more than I don't think anyone else would ever do that, So, yeah. Hope that answered. Caleb, I'm going to answer this question myself. When doing thick eyeliner, how do you keep it from getting on the eyelid and moving while sweating on stage? That's a great question. So, this is something that I obviously had to contend with. Luckily, Gaga strangely doesn't really sweat much. So, she'd be up there for hours and her makeup would stay put. But I did kind of also have to figure out a formula. So I perfected it during the Monster Ball. So if you were going to do a stage show, I would recommend, I never used actual eyeshadow primer. I would do whatever base I was doing on the face and do that on the lids as well. And then powder the lids. And then do a regular liner and put it into place with fluid line. And then use, what's that MAC? The MAC liner, that's like the one that doesn't move. It's in like the tiny little, you screw off the thing and it has the black track. I would use black track over that. I layered the liner like 3 layers. And once you do that, it shouldn't move. Yeah, Caleb, first the pot liner and then the black track. The black track, first the black track and then the fluid line. I think the fluid line is what I was talking about. Sorry, guys, I get product names mixed up. But if you do 3 layers, it should stay in place. I hope that answers your questions.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you so much for this wonderful conversation. We truly appreciate you very much, and we wish you nothing but the best to come. And I think I say that on behalf of all the little monsters out there.
You too. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Joining. We love you so, so much.
Enjoy the rest of the album.
Thank you.
You too. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.